Listen, I know it can be really expensive to live in today's world. If you're thinking about moving to Kentucky and you want to know more about the cost of living first, this video is going to be the one for you. What's up, y'all? This is Tyler Higgins, and this is my channel, Living in Kentucky. This channel exists to teach you about all things Kentucky, from the housing and real estate to the amenities to the safety to the schools, the pros and cons, the cost of living, different areas and cities, things to do, whatever it may be. If you're thinking about moving to Kentucky, relocating to Kentucky, this is the channel for you. So if you've never visited our channel before, I just wanted to personally say thank you so much. It really does mean the world to me that you would take time out of your day to do so. And if you could do me a big favor, go ahead and hit a like on this video, hit the subscribe button, and then tap the notification bell as well. We're going to continue to put out really helpful content that's going to help you decide if Kentucky is somewhere you might want to live. So let me really quickly introduce myself before we dive into the video. Like I said, my name is Tyler Higgins. This is the Living in Kentucky channel. I'm a real estate agent here in Central Kentucky with eXp Realty. If you do have any questions about relocating to Kentucky after the end of the video, all of my contact information and different ways to get in touch with me to set up a free real estate consultation via Zoom, different resources, all that kind of good stuff will be in the description below. So after the video, make sure to check that out, and please reach out to me with any needs or questions. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, let's jump into the actual stats and data behind the cost of living in Kentucky. So real quickly, let me give you just a little outline of some of the different things we're going to cover, and then I'll go into more detail. So we're going to go over the average rent, the average home price, the average food and grocery costs, maybe kind of throw entertainment into that, the average utilities cost, and then also the average healthcare cost. And then lastly, the annual salary, and then the average living wage. So how much money does it take for somebody to live in Kentucky? So first, let's jump into the average rent. Now, this can be a little variable, obviously, and dependent on, are you in a smaller city, a bigger city, in a densely populated area? Are you in a more rural area? My primary service areas are Lexington, Georgetown, which is just north of Lexington, Scott County, and then Richmond, Berea, which is Madison County, just south of Lexington, Fayette County. So that's right in the central Kentucky kind of I-75 pipeline area. So I'm going to base a lot of those metrics on the knowledge that I have of those areas. Now, with that said, I can help you buy or sell or relocate to Kentucky anywhere in the entire state. But for the purposes of today's video, we're going to focus on those areas. So the average rent in the state of Kentucky is $859, roughly $860. Let's do that for easy math. Now, if you're talking average rent in Lexington, you're looking more at like $1,100. But in somewhere like Richmond, Madison County, smaller than Lexington, you know, that $850 to $900 is about what you could expect on the average rent. Now, you may be able to go find a one-bedroom place much cheaper than that. I know in our cities that I do see stuff that rents for $600, $700 a month. I know places that are, well, more expensive too if you're looking for more of, you know, a luxury, short-term kind of rental place. So, but $850, $900, you're safe to, you know, safe to bet on that for average rent. Again, bigger city, Lexington, Louisville, maybe you're looking more at that $1,000 to $1,200. All right, what's the average home price? Again, same as the rent. This is going to be a little varied depending on where you're at. Let's start with the more expensive. Kentucky is really relatively affordable, you're going to learn at the end of this video, as opposed to other places. But for our area, Lexington, Fayette County, really beautiful city, growing, thriving population city. A little more expensive than you know, Richmond or Georgetown. The average price of a home you can expect there is getting closer to $300,000. $297,000 when I looked at the data. Now, that's not to say there's not houses for sale for 180,000, 200,000, 250,000, much more than 300,000. Obviously, there's going to be tons of different inventory, tons of different price ranges. But I would say, average family of four maybe, looking to buy a house that's going to accommodate your needs in Lexington, you may be able to expect about $250,000 to $300,000. Now, Richmond, Georgetown, I would look at a range more of $200,000 to $250,000. Again, there's going to be some more expensive, some cheaper, but that $225 up to $250 is a better range for that area. So $250, $300 Lexington, Fayette County, $200 and $250 Richmond, Georgetown. That's really cheap compared to some parts of the country. You're coming from Florida or New York, California, whatever, one of these really, really big expensive states. That's an absolute steal. So let's do the annual salary and the annual necessary living wage. This is really, really cool. So annual average salary in Kentucky is just over $48,000 a year. Now, what's really neat about that is the average necessary living wage. How much does somebody need to make? How much does actually a couple need to make is how the stats are produced in this instance to live in Kentucky is just over $29,000 a year. So under $30,000. And then the annual salary is $48,000. So looking at those metrics right there, you can tell you can land if you can land a good, decent job here, you should be able to make enough money to be able to live here in Kentucky. So I thought that was a really, really interesting statistic, and I hope that's helpful. Okay, let's jump into the healthcare cost. This is really, really interesting as well. The healthcare costs in Kentucky are actually 20% cheaper than the national average. Now, I'm going to share a stat in a little bit that is more expensive than the national average, so keep that in mind. Our healthcare is 20% cheaper than the national average. That could be a really, really good and really important savings for you. Okay, food and groceries cost. What's that looking like? You go out and get a meal at a decent restaurant, nothing crazy expensive, but just kind of your nice, casual, dining place. Here in Kentucky, it's about 6.5% cheaper than the rest of the country. So what's the math on that look like? It's not drastic, but it makes a difference, especially if you're somebody that eats out a lot. So say in Texas, you go out to get a cheeseburger and fries and a drink at a restaurant, your local sports bar, and it costs you $15. 6.5% cheaper would be here in Kentucky would cost you $14. So you're saving about $1 on average, which the actual national average of a meal, like I was describing, is $15. So in Kentucky, it's about $1 cheaper, 6.5% cheaper. I will say, I personally, and this isn't scientific statistical data coming from me, I feel that that's a little on the steep end. I think that we're cheaper than that here in Kentucky. I know personally here in Richmond where I live, I can go to numerous restaurants around town and get a really good meal for less than $10. So, I know we got to look at the broad average of it. Are you getting a drink? Are you getting appetizer? What are you getting? All that stuff. But I will say, I can tell a difference. I've been to other states and spent money there. It is definitely cheaper when it comes to food and groceries here in Kentucky. My brother-in-law was just in from San Diego, and he was buying groceries at the grocery store, and we were both joking and laughing, saying, man, between the food and the groceries, the gas, it is so much cheaper. You've got to enjoy being here in Kentucky. So anyways, long story short, food and groceries, 6.5% cheaper here in Kentucky. All right, next stat, the utility cost of living in Kentucky. Here's the one area I found where Kentucky is actually more expensive than the rest of the country. So Kentucky is known for coal. You may already know that if you've done any research or you're from Kentucky or you have family or friends or whatever in Kentucky. Coal is a vital, really important part of Kentucky's history and who Kentucky is today. When it comes to cost, and I'm not saying this to make anybody mad about coal. If you're a big friend of coal, I get it. I understand, not taking any kind of stance here, but the truth is coal is just a little more costly and inefficient from a utility standpoint. So the cost of utilities in Kentucky is anywhere from 3% to 5% more expensive than the national average. That's not a big deal. That's, in my opinion, that's not a big, huge difference. Yeah, your heating, your gas, energy bill is going to be a little more than opposed to other states, but that's okay. You know why? Almost every other realm, rent, home prices, groceries, food, healthcare, all that is cheaper, specifically healthcare being 20% cheaper. So what you lose in your utility costs, you're going to make up in some other areas. I've lived in Tennessee, I've lived in Georgia, and now I live in Kentucky. All relatively close, probably on that on the cost of living scale. But I will say, I've had clients relocate from other areas. My brother-in-law, like I said, lives in California. I talked to other real estate agents in other states. The cost of living here in Kentucky is very, very affordable. And it's very appealing if you're thinking about relocating here, because some of that cost that you would have to budget for and save for in other areas of life, living in a more expensive state, you can now put towards your dream house. And you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. So anyways, I hope that info is helpful. Like I said, all of the ways to contact me, my contact information, how to book a free real estate consultation Zoom with me, all that and other resources will be in the description below. Don't hesitate to reach out. And if you could, go ahead and hit the like button, comment, subscribe, more importantly, and tap that notification bell. We're going to have more awesome Kentucky real estate content coming to you every week. And I really, really appreciate you watching. And like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thanks.